journaling, and it comes from like thoughts or challenges that I'm having, like
Mm-hmm.
for myself. And then I'm like, okay, how do I, and I write it, and that's what helps me. I write it out, and then somehow there's a song that emerges
Yeah,
in
yeah.
those writings. And yeah, it's always about sort of like self evolution, self improvement,
Yeah.
and a lot of, yeah, like the seed song that I performed was like uh definitely came from a place of like solitude and like
Mm-hmm.
just checking in with myself and saying like, um yeah, it's not, nothing's perfect, and don't put
Yeah,
so much pressure on yourself to know, because what you're doing is you're growing, and like you've
yeah,
been planting seeds, and someday, with enough water and sunlight, like they'll grow, and
yeah,
you have
definitely.
so much in you. Like almost like advice to myself, like you have so much in you, and it's just a matter of time,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
So like self-talk, and like is that like a lot of the basis for your music and or whatever you write? Is it
Yeah.
poetry, I should say, for your poet, for your music? Yeah, let's say music.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, it's a lot of like advice for myself, it's like
Mm-hmm.
I'm like my own therapist or friend or whatever, like,
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah,
'cause, I'm learning that, yeah, I have to be kind to myself and be that person for myself, because you can't, always rely on others.
definitely. Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's important. Um, like the self, like it's so funny, like how it can just turn against you, and because it knows you, like so you know yourself the best, so you know how to manipulate yourself into like you can fall into a fall or whatever like negative self, you know what I mean, like a fight, like yeah, it becomes this fight, right, like with yourself.
Mhm.
And it's funny, I was talking about earlier, there is an artist who has been leaving messages basically about the battle with the self. And I think that one thing, like having gone through similar, like with the self, it's like you gotta kind of like learn how to love yourself, flaws and all.
Mhm.
And so for myself, yeah, I needed to learn that. Like it's like, but first you gotta know yourself. So it's gonna take a lot of self-reflection, I guess, and
Mhm.
being honest with yourself, like putting out the mirror and just being
Yeah.
honest with yourself about things. And
Mhm.
and then like it becomes like about self-acceptance at some point.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's hard. It can be hard, I should say,
Mhm.
right? Like, cause this thing is an ongoing cycle. It never ends. Like you come out of one box into a bigger box, and you know, so you just kind of yeah. But what becomes important is you learn how to process it. You learn how to recognize uh, when negativity is coming,
Mhm.
and you at that point can choose to accept it or just choose to continue it.
Mhm.
But I find a lot of times though that sometimes it's not even negativity, and like sometimes you gotta like entertain it regardless, and you know like sometimes like because like our knowledge isn't up to par, so like so because of that, like if we for example get fire, we wouldn't know what to do, it burns, right? Like but when
Mhm.
our knowledge becomes better, like we learn how to make food and eventually we turn that into laser. And I find
Mhm.
that that's a battle that we go through, but it's on a spiritual level,
Mhm.
right? And it's on a mental level, mental plane. So that's what I found about that battle or the
Mm.
going or whatever you may be going through
Yeah.
with that. Yeah, yeah.